The hospital receptionist refused to help the pregnant black woman until she saw the name on the file and cried. People say the worst pain in the world is childbirth. They're wrong. The worst pain is begging for help, while someone decides if your life is worth the trouble. Rain hit the glass like bullets as Maya Thompson stumbled through the sliding doors of St. Elmira Medical Center. Her breath sharp, her belly tight. She was 39 weeks pregnant, soaked from the thunderstorm outside, and gripping her side like it was holding back a dam breaking loose. Her contractions had started on the bus 2 stops ago. There was no family with her, no partner, no one. Just her and the child she was about to bring into a world that never wanted her in the first place. The hospital smelled like bleach and lemon-scented bureaucracy. Fluorescent lights hummed coldly above her as she approached the reception desk, holding onto the counter like it might save her from drowning. Her voice was barely more than a whisper when she said, "Please, I need to see a doctor. I think the baby's coming." The woman behind the desk didn't look up. She kept typing. Blonde bun, pink scrubs, a name tag that read Sharon. Everything about her screamed system. Maya repeated herself louder this time. "I said please, I'm having contractions." Sharon looked up, finally, with the kind of smile you give to someone interrupting your lunch break. Her eyes traveled down Maya's body slowly, pausing at the wet hoodie clinging to her stomach, the dark skin, the worn sneakers. Judgment in a single blink. "Do you have an appointment?" Maya blinked, stunned. "2M in labor." "I asked," Sharon said. Louder now, enunciating each word like Maya didn't speak English. "I feel have an appointment." Maya's hand gripped the counter. "No, I just need to be seen. Please." Sharon sighed, tapped something on her keyboard, and said, "Insurance." "No," Maya said. "I mean, I have Medicaid, but I don't." "There's a separate entrance for clinic patients," Sharon cut in. "Around the side, through the alley. Follow the signs." Maya froze. "You want me to go outside? In the rain? You can't just walk in without paperwork." "It's policy." Policy. That word again. Always standing between her and being treated like a human being. "I'm telling you my baby's coming," Maya snapped, her voice cracking. "I don't think I have time for a damn policy." People turned. Someone cleared their throat in line behind her. A man in a suit took a quiet step back. Sharon didn't flinch. "Ma'am," she said, as if the word was a threat. "If you keep raising your voice, I'll have to call security." A sharp pain seized Maya's abdomen, doubling her over. She cried out. Still, Sharon didn't move. And then she said something Maya would never forget. "We're not a charity ward. Maybe if you planned ahead." Maya stumbled backward, her vision blurred. Heat burned behind her eyes, a fury so sharp it almost drowned the pain. But she didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. She just stood there, one hand on her belly, the other wiping a tear off her cheek before anyone could see it, until another voice rang out from behind the desk. "Sharon, step aside." The woman turned, startled. A younger receptionist had returned from a break, holding a steaming mug. Her badge read Cynthia. Her eyes locked on Maya, then down at the computer screen. Something changed in her expression. "Her name's Maya Thompson?" Cynthia said, her voice trembling. She stared at the screen again, as if she couldn't believe it. "You didn't even look at the file?" "What?" Sharon asked. Cynthia ignored her. She clicked rapidly, her hands shaking. Then her lips parted, and she gasped like someone had punched the air out of her. "Oh my God," she whispered. Maya was swaying now, her knees weakening. Cynthia ran around the desk. "Get a wheelchair," she screamed. "Now." Sharon blinked. "Wait, what's going on?" Cynthia crouched beside Maya, taking her arm gently. Her voice cracked. "You're Maya Thompson? From Whitestone Elementary." Maya's eyes fluttered. "Yes. Why?" Cynthia's throat worked as she swallowed. She was crying now. "You saved my sister's life. In 3rd grade. The fire, you pulled her out. We thought you died." And then Cynthia did something no one expected. She hugged Maya, right there on the tile floor of the ER. You saved her, she whispered, voice thick with tears. You were a child and you ran back inside. I've been waiting 20 years to say thank you. Sharon stood frozen, pale. The security guard who had just arrived stared at the scene, unsure of what to do. Maya couldn't speak. She could barely breathe. But in that moment someone saw her. Not as a burden, not as a problem, but as a person. And that finale was enough to begin saving her life. Cynthia's hands were firm yet gentle as she wheeled Maya into triage, speaking urgently to the nurse on duty. The hallway buzzed with the usual antiseptic chaos, phones ringing, carts rattling, a patient moaning behind curtain 6, but somehow, the noise didn't pierce the bubble that had formed around the two women. The triage nurse, a burly man with a soft voice, took one look at Maya and sprang into action. Vitals, now. Page OB. Let's get her into a room. Cynthia didn't leave her side. She sat beside Maya as a monitor was strapped around her belly, as electrodes were placed, as forms were pushed in front of her but not demanded. She watched Maya's chest rise and fall in sharp, controlled gasps, the trauma of what had just happened mixing with the primal fear of labor. You're going to be okay, Cynthia said, squeezing her hand. Maya turned to her, still dazed. I don't understand. Why would you remember me? You were the girl in the red jacket, Cynthia said softly. I remember everything about that day. You had this tiny Dora the Explorer backpack. You pushed my sister out a back window before the smoke swallowed you. I was only 6. My parents thought you were an angel. I was a kid, Maya murmured. You were a hero. The contraction hit hard. Maya gasped, biting down a scream. The nurse raised his voice. She's dilated to 8. We need to move now. They rushed her down the hall. The fluorescent lights flickered as they passed beneath them, one by one, like the countdown to a storm. Somewhere behind them, Sharon stood at the reception desk, staring at the login screen, her fingers numb. She barely noticed when the hospital director tapped her shoulder. Can I see you in my office? He asked coldly. But Sharon was already seeing something else, her own reflection in the glass, and the way it had never looked uglier. Back in the delivery room, Maya gripped the rails, the world blurring in heat and sweat. Nurses moved in practiced harmony. A doctor entered, calling out instructions. The pain was a beast now, roaring through her spine. Cynthia leaned in close. Do you have anyone you want me to call? Maya shook her head. No one left. What about the baby's father? Maya closed her eyes. He left when he found out I was keeping her. Maya smiled faintly. I'm naming her Hope. And then, like the name was magic, the final wave came. She screamed, pushed, roared. And Hope came into the world, tiny, crying, alive. The first cry pierced the sterile silence like a beacon. A moment ago, Maya had been drowning in pain, breathless, torn apart at the seams. Now, as the sound of her newborn daughter's voice echoed through the delivery room, a quiet shock settled over her. She lay there panting, drenched in sweat, tears streaking down the sides of her face. Her hands reached out blindly, desperate to hold the miracle she thought might never come. She's okay, the doctor confirmed gently, holding up the tiny, wailing baby. She's perfect. Maya could hardly believe it until she felt her child's weight against her chest, warm, trembling, alive. 10 tiny fingers curled instinctively against her collarbone. I've got you, Maya whispered. Mama's got you. And just like that, the noise of the hospital, the pain, the humiliation, it all fell away. For a few brief, sacred moments, there was only Maya and her daughter, Hope. Cynthia stayed in the corner, eyes glassy, hand covering her mouth as she witnessed the scene. She didn't know what exactly was pulling at her chest, guilt, awe, memory, but she knew it mattered. All of it. Every second. The doctor nodded toward her. She can stay a few minutes longer. Then we'll move Mom to recovery. Maya turned, smiling weakly. Thank you. For everything. I didn't do anything, Cynthia replied. Yes, Maya said, voice hoarse. You saw me. When no one else did. That sentence stayed with Cynthia as she returned to the front desk like a splinter under the skin. 2 hours later, Maya lay propped up in recovery, Hope swaddled beside her. Her body ached in places she didn't know she had. But she was quiet now, even calm floating in that rare space after birth, when the world felt both impossibly fragile and strangely hopeful. A nurse came in with a tray and a clipboard. "We're ready for discharge paperwork in a few days," she said. "But I need you to confirm some details. Father's name." Maya hesitated. "No father," she said simply. The nurse looked up. "Would you like to list an emergency contact?" Maya almost said no again, but something flickered in her chest. Hesitation, then decision. "Do you have the receptionist's number?" she asked. "The younger one, Cynthia." The nurse blinked, surprised. "I believe so. I'll note it if she agrees." Maya nodded. She might say yes. After the nurse left, Maya turned her head toward the window. Outside, the storm had passed. The sky had shifted from gray to gold, like something had cracked open. Hope stirred beside her, and Maya whispered, "We're gonna be okay, no matter what." Meanwhile, in the hospital's administrative office, Sharon sat stiff-backed across from the director, her face blank. "I reviewed the footage," the director said, adjusting his glasses. "And I read the notes from the triage staff. You denied a woman in active labor medical care because of how she looked." "I followed policy," Sharon insisted. The director leaned forward. "You told her to go through the alley in the middle of a thunderstorm. You told her we're not a charity." Sharon's lips pressed together. "You've worked here for 13 years, he continued. "How many people have you turned away like that?" Silence. The director sighed, leaned back, and folded his hands. "I can't fire you today. HR wants a review. But you are on immediate leave effective now. Turn in your badge. We'll be in touch." Sharon stood, trembling. But her hands weren't angry. They were scared. Because for the first time in a long time, she wasn't just in trouble. She was ashamed. 3 days later, Maya sat on a bench outside the hospital. Hope nestled against her chest in a soft gray wrap. The sun was warm on her face, and the breeze carried the soft scent of late summer. Cynthia emerged from the main doors, surprised to see her. "I didn't think you'd still be here," she said. "I don't have a car," Maya replied, grinning. "I was waiting on a cab, but I wanted to say goodbye." Cynthia sat beside her, still in her scrubs. "She's beautiful." "Thank you," Maya said. "She's strong, just like her name." "I meant what I said before," Cynthia murmured. "You saved my sister's life. I still remember the firefighters pulling you out. I thought I'd never see you again. You were just a little girl. And you were just a kid too. But you didn't hesitate." Maya glanced down at Hope, then looked at Cynthia. "You didn't hesitate either. You didn't have to come back from break. You didn't have to care." "I did," Cynthia said. "I still do." A silence passed between them. Not uncomfortable, just full. Then Maya reached into her diaper bag and handed Cynthia a folded piece of paper. "It's my number, if you ever want to talk. Or if your sister wants to." Cynthia took it gently, as if it were something fragile. "I will," she said. And somehow they both knew it wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something else. But the story wasn't over. Later that week, a video surfaced online grainy security footage showing Maya at the reception desk, hunched in pain, being ignored and dismissed. A hospital intern had leaked it, furious after witnessing the aftermath. The video went viral within hours. Thousands of people watched Sharon glance up, speak coldly, and point Maya away. Then watched Maya, visibly in distress, beg. Then watched her nearly collapse. The clip was titled, "This is how we treat black women in labor?" News stations picked it up. Talk shows dissected it. Civil rights groups released statements. Maya's name became a trending topic not for scandal, but for survival. Maya didn't ask for any of it. She didn't want to be famous. But people started reaching out. Letters, emails, donations. One note read, "I saw my sister in you. I saw my daughter. Thank you for surviving what they wouldn't have." Another said, My mother died in a waiting room. You didn't. You lived. And so did your child. That matters. Eventually, a local news station asked to interview Maya. She declined twice, but on the third ask she said yes. The segment aired on a Sunday evening. Maya sat on her worn couch, hope in her arms, and looked straight into the camera. I didn't survive because I'm special, she said. I survived because someone saw me. That's what saved my life. That's what saved my daughter. And the world listened. St. Elmira, things changed. Cynthia was promoted, made head of patient intake. New policies were implemented, real ones with teeth. Implicit bias training. Anonymous complaint lines. Emergency override protocols. Sharon never returned to her job. Some said she moved out of state. Others said she was seen crying in a Target parking lot, staring at a woman with a stroller, and didn't say why. Months passed. Maya found part-time work as a home caregiver. She carried hope on her back in a sling. She cooked rice with beans and prayed that rent would hold a little longer. Sometimes it didn't. Sometimes she cried at night quietly, so hope wouldn't wake. But she never gave up. She started a blog writing about motherhood, racism, survival. It gained traction. Readers sent diapers, groceries, kind words. She still didn't trust all of it, but she was learning. Learning how to live in the light after spending so long in the dark. And Cynthia? She did call her sister. They met in a quiet park, over coffee. I found her, Cynthia said, tears in her eyes. She's alive. She's more than alive, Cynthia replied. She has a daughter. She named her Hope. Her sister smiled, then cried. And they sat together under the trees, the ghosts of fire and childhood fading into something gentler. At night, Maya sometimes looked down at her sleeping daughter and whispered, "You were born in a world that tried to shut the door on us. But we kicked it open." And in the silence, Hope would smile in her sleep as if she already knew. The first snowfall came early that year. Maya stood at the window of her one-bedroom apartment, holding Hope close to her chest. The baby was heavier, now 6 months old, round-cheeked, curious. She had Maya's wide eyes and a stubborn little furrow between her brows when she was hungry. She also had her father's dimple stuff. Maya tried not to think about that too often. Outside, snow dusted the cars along Lafayette Street. People rushed by in coats and scarves, faces half hidden. Maya liked the quiet that snow brought, the way the world got muffled, like everything held its breath. Inside, though, the quiet wasn't so peaceful. Bills were piling up again. Her food stamps had run short. She'd sold her old phone last week to buy formula. She still hadn't told Cynthia. Pride kept getting in the way. Her phone buzz edit was her new one, an older model she'd bought secondhand. A message lit up the screen. "Cynthia, we're putting together a community fundraiser for Black maternal health care. You need to be there. You're the reason we're doing it." Maya stared at the message. She typed, "I don't want to be the story anymore," then deleted it. Instead, she typed back, "When?" The event took place in the basement of a local community center. Fold-out chairs, mismatched tablecloths, plastic cups of lemonade. But the room was full: doctors, nurses, doulas, activists, single mothers. People who knew firsthand what it meant to be ignored when your skin wasn't the right color. Maya sat in the front row, Hope in her lap, heart pounding. Cynthia took the podium first. "I'm here tonight because I failed someone until I didn't," she began. "I'm here because my friend almost died in a hospital that was supposed to save her." She paused, then turned. "And now, she's going to speak for herself." Maya felt all eyes turn to her. Her hands trembled as she passed Hope to a volunteer and stood. She hadn't spoken to a room full of strangers since high school. But she remembered what her grandmother used to say. "If you have a truth and it's heavy, you carry it. But if you speak it, you pass a little of that weight to the world." So she took a breath, stepped forward, and spoke. "When I walked into St. Elmira that night, I didn't know if I was going to walk out again. I was in pain, scared, soaked from the rain. I didn't care what forms I'd filled out. I just wanted someone to look at me and believe that I mattered. She looked up. No one blinked. That night, a woman looked right through me. Another woman saw me, and because of that me daughter is here today. A few murmurs, a few tears. She pressed on. I didn't come here to be a victim, or even a hero. I came here because if we don't keep telling the truth, nothing changes. Black women are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth in this country. Not because we're weaker, not because we're reckless, but because we're ignored. Now the room was completely still. I survived, but I shouldn't have had to fight to survive. A long pause, then applause, soft at first, then growing, rising, sustained. Maya sat back down, heart still pounding, but lighter. She didn't smile. Not yet, but she knew something had shifted. After the event, a small crowd gathered around her. A midwife from Chicago offered to connect her to a community clinic. A young black doctor in training shook her hand and said, "I want to be the kind of doctor you deserved." But it was the woman in the back who caught Maya's eye. She wore a green coat, gray hair pulled back. She waited until the room cleared, then approached slowly. "Ms. Thompson?" the woman said gently. Maya stood. "Yes. My name is Marlene. I'm Sharon's mother." Silence. Maya stiffened. Her body braced. "I saw the footage. I read everything. My daughter Marlene's voice broke. She's not well. Not right now. She's in therapy. She's trying. I just wanted you to know she talks about you. She regrets it. All of it." Maya didn't know what to say. Her arms folded. Her breath tightened. Marlene reached into her coat and pulled out a small envelope. "She asked me to give you this," she said. "You don't have to read it." She held it out. Maya stared at it, then slowly took it. Marlene gave a small nod. "Thank you for your patience." Then she turned and left. Maya didn't open the letter until later that night. Hope had fallen asleep beside her on the couch, curled like a comma. The envelope was plain, her name written in blue pen. She unfolded the page. "Maya, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I watched the footage too. I saw the way I looked at you and I didn't recognize myself. I've been working in hospitals for 13 years. I thought I was fair, but I wasn't. I've replayed that night over and over. I see your pain. I see your fear. And I see how little I did. What scares me most is how normal it felt in the moment. You were right to be angry. I don't want to ask for your grace. I want to earn it if that's ever possible. I hope your daughter is healthy. I hope she knows how strong her mother is. Sharon." Maya folded the letter and set it on the table. She didn't cry. She didn't feel rage either. Just a strange, quiet sadness. And maybe beneath that a thin layer of something like understanding. Not absolution, but truth. 2 months later, a nonprofit offered Maya a paid writing opportunity. They wanted to publish her blog entries, turn her story into a resource for Black mothers navigating the healthcare system. She said yes. The money wasn't much, but it helped. Formula. A new crib. Rent on time. Her words, once buried deep in journals and phone notes, now reached thousands. A message from a nurse in Alabama. "Your story changed how I speak to patients." From a pregnant teen in Detroit. "I printed your blog and brought it to my OB. He listened." From an older woman in New Jersey. "I lost a baby once because no one believed me. Reading your words helped me grieve. Thank you." Maya kept writing. And little by little, she started to believe she belonged in this new space, not just as a survivor, but as a guide. A light. One spring evening, Cynthia stopped by Maya's apartment with takeout and wine. Hope was babbling in her walker, banging a spoon on the floor. "She's got your lungs," Cynthia joked. "She's got her own fire," Maya replied. They laughed. Then Cynthia grew serious. "There's a position opening up at the clinic," she said. "Community advocate. Someone to help new patients navigate the system. I think you'd be perfect." Maya blinked. "You mean like a real job? A paid job? With benefits?" Maya's throat tightened. "Why me?" "Because you've already been doing it," Cynthia said. Just without the title. Or the paycheck. Maya looked at Hope, then back at Cynthia, and nodded. She started the next week. The clinic was crowded, chaotic, underfunded. But she found purpose in the mess. She sat beside mothers who couldn't speak English, helped grandmothers who brought in crumpled papers they didn't understand, held babies while nurses drew blood, filled out forms, called insurance reps, listened hard. And when she got home, she still had Hope's laughter waiting for her. She was tired, but never empty. Sometimes, in the quiet before dawn, Maya would sit on her stoop, coffee in hand, and think about the night her daughter was born. She'd think about rain and pain and the woman who turned her away. And she'd think about the other woman, the one who came back, who saw her, and maybe, in some strange twist of fate, saved her too. 2 years passed. Hope could talk now, really talk. She loved the color purple, sang made-up songs about clouds, and declared she was going to be a super doctor for all the babies. When she grew up, Maya never corrected her. The city was different in the spring. The sirens still wailed, traffic still groaned. But for Maya, the world moved with less hostility. Or maybe it was just that she had changed inside it. She was no longer surviving. She was living, and she wasn't alone. Her blog had grown into a full platform. What started as scattered thoughts became a digital archive of Black women's medical experiences. Stories poured in from all over the country. Some triumphant, some tragic, all true. She called it seen, because that's all any of them ever wanted. To be seen. One afternoon, Maya was organizing a donation drive at the clinic when Cynthia rushed in. "You're not going to believe this," she said, breathless. "What?" St. Elmira just announced a complete overhaul of their maternal care program. Maya raised an eyebrow. "Seriously? They're hiring doulas, starting cultural sensitivity training, launching an internal audit on every complaint in the last 5 years." Maya blinked. "That's huge," she whispered. Cynthia grinned. "They want community advisors. Real ones. Voices that come from lived experience. I gave them your name." Maya felt the air shift. St. Elmira. The same hospital where her daughter was nearly born into neglect. Now asking her to help change it. She didn't answer right away. Her mind traveled back to that fluorescent-lit lobby. The pain in her belly. The tremor in her voice as she begged for help. And then she remembered something else. The letter. The apology. The way Sharon had said, "I want to earn it." Maybe this was part of that. Maybe healing wasn't a straight road. Maybe it curled and looped, and sometimes took you back to the very place you'd once been broken, but this time you stood taller. "I'll meet with them," Maya said softly. The meeting took place in a glass-walled conference room. The chairs were too sleek, the coffee too bitter. But Maya walked in wearing a blazer she borrowed from Cynthia, shoulders square, eyes steady. Across the table sat 2 directors, a legal advisor, and the hospital's new DEI officer. To her surprise, Sharon was not there. The DEI officer, a younger Black man with gentle eyes, spoke first. "We've reviewed your work, Ms. Thompson, and we owe you more than just gratitude. What you went through, it woke this hospital up. And your voice can help shape what comes next." Maya nodded slowly. "I'm not here to be your token," she said calmly. "I'm not interested in checking boxes. If I work with you, it'll be as a partner, with real input, real accountability." One of the directors shifted in his seat, but the DI officer smiled. "That's exactly why we want you." Maya's role as an advisor was more than symbolic. She pushed for changes that mattered. A mandatory listening session for all incoming residents, where patients shared stories of racial bias and survival. Anonymous reporting systems for staff misconduct. Dedicated patient advocates for every woman of color who walked through the maternity ward. She led trainings, consulted on hiring, sat in on quarterly reviews. And every time she walked into the hospital now, she felt a pulse of power in her steps. It didn't erase what had happened, but it transformed it. One chilly morning, Maya arrived early for a board meeting. As she waited in the lobby, she spotted someone at the far desk. It was Sharon, the same woman who once refused her help. Sharon looked different now, thinner. Her hair was shorter, but she stood calmly, typing something, head bowed. Maya hesitated, then crossed the floor. "Hi," she said. Sharon looked up. Her face froze, then softened. "Maya," she said quietly. "I didn't know you still worked here," Maya said. "I don't. Not full-time. I've been doing some front desk fill-ins. Just a few shifts a month." A pause. Then Sharon said, "I read Scene. Every week." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Sharon nodded. "It's taught me a lot about who I was, and who I'm trying to be." Another pause. Then Maya said, "How's your mom?" "She's good," Sharon replied. "She asks about you. Still keeps Hope's birth photo on her fridge." They shared a small, cautious smile. Sharon stood. "Listen, I know I've said this before, but if there's ever anything I can do—" "You're doing it," Maya said simply. "Just keep doing it." She offered her hand. Sharon took it. And in that moment, two women who had once stood on either side of a locked door now stood together, bridged by pain and effort and change. Later that month, Scene launched its first printed anthology. Stories of survival, stories of change. Maya wrote the foreword herself. "This book is not just about pain. It's about how we carry pain, how we speak it, and how we pass it forward, not to harm, but to warn. These stories do not exist to make others feel guilty. They exist to demand action. Black women deserve to live through childbirth. And we will not stop telling the truth until that is no longer a radical demand." On the night of the book launch, Cynthia hosted a small party at the community center. There were string lights, music, laughter. Hope ran around in her purple dress, chasing balloons. Maya stood near the snack table when a young girl approached her. 17 maybe, nervous hands, sharp eyes. "Are you Miss Thompson?" she asked. "Yes. I read your story," the girl said. I think I want to be a midwife now. Because of you." Maya smiled. "What's your name?" "Jade." "Well, Jade, the world needs you." The girl beamed. That night, after Hope had fallen asleep in her arms, Maya sat on the edge of her bed and looked out the window. The stars were out. She thought about all the women who had written her, all the ones she'd lost, all the ones who'd made it. She thought about her grandmother, whose name she'd given to Hope as a middle name, about Cynthia, about Sharon, about the girl named Jade and the ripple she might one day send through the world. Maya whispered softly, into the dark, "We're still here." And this time it didn't feel like defiance. It felt like a promise. The end.